that moment of being when you're not in fight flight, when you're in this moment of being and then you ask or manifest for something, that's a really very powerful experience.
Oh, this is major. It's like the next big thing. Come catch the wave, yeah. Yeah, watch what's happening. A force of nature. Hit 'em like lightning. Be the creator of the next big thing. We're the movers and shakers. We are the dreamers, the makers. We stand on top of equators. We are the limitless. We got the future, no papers. We are the innovators. We have the focus like lasers. You know we doing it big. Oh, this is major.
Greetings and welcome to the Compromised to Alchemized podcast with me, your host, Dr. Neil Bulchandani. Excited for this episode, which I recorded with Mona Patel. Dr. Mona Patel, healer, guide, and transformation mentor. So this conversation with Mona was really illuminating. I've been curious to just talk with her and find out more about that transition moment. For y'all, you're going to find out that she started in the field of dentistry. This is where we overlap because we're both involved or have been involved in airway dentistry and related care on my end. So the conversation was really fun because she kind of had dedicated her life to, in terms of healing, to being a dentist and an educator. But yeah, really, it's going to be amazing for you guys to hear like what shifted her. What was that like, replete with all the synchronicities and the synergy. Just like her discussing how the wisdom about her kind of freeing herself up or becoming free from limiting beliefs. And so there's too much to say about what she does. And we have such a similar kind of view on some things that I resonate so much. And so we have some really good discussions about intuition, movement, and also, we both love holding space for empaths and healers. And so, but really, really looking forward to partaking in the wisdom that Mona has derived from her transformation, and then also now as she really has these amazing kind of ways that you can interact with her. So definitely check out her Healing Light Alchemy page, healinglightalchemy.com, I believe, and it's just phenomenal. I mean, she has like one-to-one sessions that she does, but also she has these other kind of more curated, guided kind of experiences where you can journey with her and learn. So without further ado, please enjoy this, and I want to hear what you think, really, as we begin the new year here. Again, every day I'm thinking new year, right? I'm excited for the clarity that's coming, the changes that I feel. I had a moment today where in between the work that I was doing, I was really needing to connect in. And I rely on my 5 M's, which involve movement, meditation, musing, mapping, and movement, if I didn't say that. So, but anyways, this is not about my 5 M's. This is about tuning in to Mona's practices and her wisdom. But I would just say that I was feeling good. But then as soon as I kind of did 5 minutes of practice and integration, it led me to have clarity about someone else and about giving them a key for something that they were experiencing. Anyways, then I felt more integrated, and I felt like more in line with what I was hoping to accomplish with somebody coming in for some deep healing. So, just these moments. I believe this episode is so much about alignment, integration from the inner world to the outer world. So as much as we want alignment in the physical, we need to know that the interior world and those bridges that we can make into the energetic world, those are so important. So excited for you all to take it in. Okay. Enjoy the episode and can't wait to see what you think.
We have to focus like lasers, you know we doing it big. Oh, this is major.
All right. I'm excited to be here with you, Dr. Mona Patel, in this conversation. I feel like it flowed from this really beautiful, intuitive place, in that you responded to a message that I sent, and then all of a sudden we're talking about this, and it felt so right. We have some people in common, but really, like you were explaining just a moment ago, uh, there was a resonance, and I know I'm excited for you to talk more about your work. And but I just want you to know, yeah, I so resonate with like what I've seen of what you do. I just want to touch on some of that a little later on. But your name, Healing Light Alchemy, your business, could you jump in explaining that? I'd love to
Sure.
hear.
Thank you for having me on, first of all.
Yeah.
And yeah, the your frequency resonated with mine, and that's how I operate nowadays. Is
Hmm.
frequency, and healing light alchemy is my energy medicine practice that
Hmm.
I started maybe about 3.5 years ago after being a dentist for 30 years.
Hmm.
And I suddenly went from science to the mystical,
Hmm.
the science, but the quantum, the field. And I got there in a very beautiful, guided way. But healing light alchemy is where I suddenly tapped in to my inner knowing through many pathways. But with that inner knowing, it actually opens your intuition and your wisdom, that soul wisdom, that you come in and you start resonating at different frequencies. And literally that um, opened up an energy for me to sense, see, feel things about myself and others that now has become a healing modality. And it's actually shifting things in the energy field that we all carry. So it's not working with a mindset pattern, which is very much needed. We
Hmm.
need to connect the two. But it's like you do something and you know that you shouldn't do it. It's like,
Hmm.
oh my God, I know I shouldn't say that, but I couldn't help myself. You know it, but you still do it because
Hmm.
that pattern is and that frequency is still being held in your energy field for whatever reason. So that's what I track with my knowledge, my intuition, the ways that I've been taught and trained on. And
Yeah.
I'm able to see where it sits in the field, what energy system, what chakra it sits with, what core wound, what lifetime, what generational imprint it's related to, and able to work with that and remove it from the field, or not remove it, but remember it,
Hmm.
accept it, love it. And when we do that, when we love upon these things, the power of it dissolves. And you're no longer reacting to something the same way.
Mm.
Wow, we
Yeah.
really got into it, huh?
Yeah.
Already.
Just deep into it, but I feel
Yeah.
like that's what is really beautiful is, talking about reality, talking about the way it is. And, that's not to say a lot of people know and think and understand this. That's why you are doing what you're doing, is because you are facilitating and guiding. And I want to get there. And I think it's a beautiful time. We're, on the precipice of this shift into 2026. Actually, most people, you're going to be hearing this at the advent of the new year. But and I know you have your arc that took you from dentistry to what you do now. But kind of behind that, or undergirding that, I would love to know when were those moments in life where you first felt,
Yeah,
sensed, knew about this reality. Like, can you speak to that?
sure. And I think this is really true for many of us, even you.
Mhm.
It was when we're really young
Mhm.
and you have like, it's those imaginary friends that are your guardian angels, or you can sense the room and you can sense the tension in the energy around you, and you suddenly feel like you have to help. So
Yeah.
many of us as young children already were this, right? And then you are born into lineages or homes where being this, you step into rescuers and, you're deeply empathic. So I knew back then, but I didn't know what it was back then.
Yeah.
And as I talked with imaginary friends, I realized that they were my guides, but thinking they were my friends, imaginary,
Right.
all of these things, right? And then you start to process data differently because you're conditioned and you're told, and you keep coming up against things that activate all the imprints that you carry around in this lifetime. And then, I used to have dreams like that were foreshadowing. I mean, I dreamt my grades all the time, and I knew that I was going to pass that exam and I was going to get into that dental school, and like I knew it, right? And deja vu's and all of those things. And then
Mhm.
the more the more I experienced of life, like I was bullied at school. And then being Indian, you have a
Mhm.
cultural, a conditioning of cultural, like that. And then getting married and having an arranged marriage and having in laws that also were now there to kind of wake me up to my power, but at that time felt very sort of controlling, right? You lose all of that, but you lose all of that connection because you're supposed to wake up to your who you are. You're supposed to remember who you are. So I went through life until maybe 48, 49.
Mhm.
And then one day, like literally a fitted sheet broke me.
Mm.
So here I am at 49. Perfect house, perfect practice, perfect husband, perfect kids, perfect everything, right? That's how that persona was. But on the inside, empty and not connected to anything. To literally a point where I'd come back from work exhausted, wanted to lie down, but couldn't lie down, had to make the bed because I'd done the sheets. Got the fitted sheet, put on the one corner, went to the other corner, the first corner flipped off. And ladies will know what I'm talking about. Maybe you will know too. But when you
Mhm.
put a fitted sheet, I got to the third corner and the second corner. Like it
Mhm.
went. And 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh my God. I just looked up and I'm like, God, I keep doing the same thing over and over again. And is there all there is? Because I cannot go on like this for another 10 years of working and being exhausted and pretending everything is okay, but not really being myself. Right. And that's when, after that, I started to have lucid dreams, which I had never dreamt before, not even with my sleep appliance. I had
Mm.
sleep apnea as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Right.
But after that total surrender, that total like, I just can't do this anymore. I started to have dreams, and the first one was where I woke up in my dream and I saw myself in a forest tending a fire, and a being came, and this being now I know is a shaman, but he was painted in white, white feathers, red string, and he came to the fire and said, "Can I sit by your fire?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know who you are," and he went away. I had that same dream 4 nights in a row, and
Mm.
I kept sending him away. And that 5th night, I was like, he came back again, and I looked at him, and I was about to say no, and he literally went, "Silly girl, don't you realize I'm an ancestor?"
Mm.
And I said, "Okay, come sit." And we sat there, and I'm watching, I'm awake in this dream, but I'm watching myself with this ancestor, watching the fire, and the sun is coming up. And that's when he turned to me and he took this like cornucopia of light, like a horn filled with light, and he put it in my root chakra. And suddenly, in that same moment, this light filled me up, filled my body in the physical world and in my dream world. And I woke up, and after that, there were so many changes in my life that I went from a successful dentist owning my practice, living in Philadelphia, to selling my practice just before COVID, being able to move to Florida and go into a shamanic training program, teaching shamanism as well, and having an energy medicine practice. And my dreams guided me along it. And then the connection to the divine.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So when those kind of, you explained it, but the 4, I think you said it was 4 nights in a row you had the same dream?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it was like the 3rd night, I don't know. Was there was there a moment in there between the 2nd or the 3rd or the 3rd and the 4th where you're like, "Okay," or was it just like this?
It was around the fourth night where I
Uh-huh.
realized like something is happening. But at that
Mhm.
time, I was so involved in this busyness of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're like in your imprints and your patterns and your conditioned things, you don't see the synchronicities of life,
Mhm.
right? But
Mhm.
the minute you start to slow down and have that stillness, and or something happens, you start noticing numbers like angel numbers, or you
Yeah.
start seeing feathers and animal messages, or you start
Mhm.
seeing you hear a song that brings a message to you, right? But until you when you're in that didn't even occur to me that there's a message here. And
Yeah.
the reason being, I think, is that what really was governing me in all of my life was total fear.
Mm.
Fear of being myself, fear of life, fear of being found out that I'm an imposter, not feeling safe in my body. And so total fear was what was blocking me. And that was my journey, is actually admitting that I was afraid.
Mhm.
Afraid of myself, afraid of life, afraid of uh, seeing those parts of me that I had pushed away. I
Mhm.
didn't realize that I was an anxious person. I didn't realize that I was scared. I thought I was the calmest person at my office and my family, and I did not realize that everything I did was from a story that it's not safe. So every action, every reaction was to keep it was my ego self, my protective personality trying to keep me safe. And it took a while to figure out where that imprint was.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm gonna mention some things that, and so I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, but you just reminded me of and made me think of, um, like, I'm tracking with you here, and there's so many resonant, instances through my childhood growing up in an Indian family, and then, um, seeing a lot of things, nightmares and dreams and visions growing up, and most of it was, fear. There was some good, but it
Mhm.
wasn't until later that I was able to corral this light and
Yeah.
become something different. But I know that, especially, I'm a male, it's in the masculine has been so supported in this world, whereas the feminine is often suppressed,
So, yeah.
silenced. And so I know, um, that I have a different experience, and I can, could say that you had, I'm sure, especially in the culture we
Yeah.
come from, that the feminine energy, and that we're talking female and feminine. I know that, some
Yeah.
people might know that I'm waxing and waning between the two, but the feminine has been so stifled and suppressed that for you, growing up in fear, I can't help but think some of this was the societal,
Oh, for sure.
um,
It
yeah.
was that, yeah, it's the whole conditioned societal limit. See, when we're born fresh. We don't have any
Mhm.
remembrance of our soul and our wisdom, right? And we come in and we just accept. whatever is happening in our environment, be it parents,
Mhm.
teachers, society, culture, and you start to just accept these patterns. But I literally was just scared of being myself. I
Mhm.
was scared of, being a girl because I taught like a woman is weak. So then, my whole journey is about this divine feminine
Yeah.
being opening up, but not even that. It's not just about healing my divine feminine. It was also forgiving my divine masculine for not keeping me safe.
Mhm.
And once the both came into balance and I had my sacred union, that's when my wholeness started. So we all have a masculine, we all have a feminine
Mhm.
in us. And being an Indian man is not easy either,
Mhm.
right? So there's so much in us in every culture. It doesn't matter, but we are really stepping in with the divine masculine, the patriarchy. We all talk about that. But when we go into the divine feminine and we heal it, it's not about healing the feminine. It's actually about bringing the two into balance.
Mhm.
Because the divine feminine has also swung that way. So
Mhm.
it's like they're two, opposite sides. And it's the journey is to bring it into balance. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my clients. It's how we work. It's bringing harmony um, into it. It's
Yeah.
not about being the divine feminine.
Yeah. Can you dude, let's go into that because I know you explained that it was, Florida, you found yourself there, and, can you tell me a little bit more, of that shift from dentistry to what you do now, and then how that started and you don't have to go into, like, those first few days or anything like that, but more like, what did it look like? And
Oh, it was messy.
how great how messy and great was it?
It was messy, but I tell you, I will never regret this journey.
Mhm,
And it's literally the happiest I've been
mhm,
in my life. And I'm 56 years old now. Okay.
mhm,
So yeah, um, suddenly things happened where I said I couldn't do this anymore. And here I have a successful practice. And we started to get offers on the practice.
mhm,
And I was not ready to sell, I thought. And then one day I went in, it was January 1st. This dream happened in October. And January 1st, I went into the office, right? And I had 5 maternity leaves, in my team. And so I had all these new team members. Nobody knew, the onboarding was so difficult. It's difficult to onboard one person on a team, let
right.
alone 5, one after the
Yeah,
other, right?
right.
In like a year and a half. Nobody, it's just a mess.
That's so much, yeah.
And I went in on January 1st to get ready for the next year after going to a New Year's Eve party. And I'm sitting there, and 6 hours later, I haven't made a dent in the work. And I just break down and I call my husband. I'm like, I'm in tears, hysterical. I can't do this anymore. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to give up my corporate job and I'm going to come and run the practice and you just do the dentistry. And that's what he did.
Hmm,
And he did that because he was getting tired of the corporate and he realized that he was giving so much energy to a business that wasn't his. So,
mhm,
that wasn't shared. We got into the business. Well, 3 months later, it's like, this is really hard. And he's like, maybe we should sell. And I'm like, yeah, maybe and I was telling myself a story. I love dentistry so much, so I'll stay on as an associate. Next thing I know, we've sold and it's just before COVID. Fantastic.
uh-huh,
That's December of 2019. Then COVID happens in 2020. In March, the practice is shut down, and it's the first time I've ever had 3 months off. Not even during my maternity leaves did
mhm,
I have time off like that. And in that time, I was doing my stillness practice. I was meditating twice a day. And if anybody wants to get into meditation and has a difficult time, I used the technique Ziva, Ziva, and read the book by Emily Fletcher. She has a great way to just introduce meditation in,
mhm,
right? And I started doing that. And next thing I know, I'm getting deeper and deeper into messages and all of this. And then I go back to work and everything's different as an associate. As COVID happened, the contract that I'd signed with them was not being honored.
Mm.
And again, one point I look up at the sky, I'm driving home and I'm like, by that time I started connecting with the archangels. And I'm like, angels, help me. Next thing I know, my husband's been we've bought a house in Florida as an investment property. We're about to sign a rental agreement. And he gets offered a job in Florida. And
Wow.
he's like, well, how far is it from the place that we bought the house? And they're like 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And at the same time, the people that I'd sold my practice to offer me an out from my contract if I
Oh.
train another dentist. And they give me a 30 day, like I couldn't, before I had a 3-year contract with them. And now it was like, you can leave, just give us 30 days notice if you train this dentist and we'll give you 10% of their production, collections, whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And next thing I know, we're about to sign this rental agreement on this home. But my husband's like, you know what? I'm gonna accept this job. You carry on working here because I don't know what it's gonna be like. Well, I'm like, okay. That was on a Monday. The next day I go into my office and it's chaos because I'm not leading, I'm an employee, and it's stress and chaos. I'm like, what am I doing here? So I give in my resignation and I call my husband. I'm like, hey, I just resigned. And he goes, "Oh, okay, well, we'll sell the house in Philadelphia." And it got sold within 5 days.
Wow.
Like, the universe
Yeah, yeah.
orchestrated this because there is no way that
Mm-mm.
this could have happened,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
With a plan.
Mhm.
Next thing I know, a month and a half later, I'm in Florida. And kid you not, when COVID started and I wasn't working, I started to do full moon fires and new moon rituals. And I would manifest and I would write down, I see myself walking along a beach. I'm in a hot tropical place with
Mhm.
bougainvillea and hibiscus.
Mhm.
And that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and this is such a shortened version. Next thing I know, I get 5 messages through emails or um, articles or something on my feed about shamanism and this place called Four Winds. And I sign up and I do a course with them for 6 months. I get my shamanic certification. My teacher says to me, would you like to teach this? And so I become an apprentice for teaching. I do my master work. And then also, the next thing I know, I'm being shown my pathway, which is the divine, like really the divine feminine. But it became apparent when I went to the teachers' conference for this shamanic school. And when I went there, we were practicing techniques and we were tracking for core wounds. And one of them was from a lifetime that I was having dreams about, but I couldn't understand it. And it was where in that lifetime, and I won't describe the vision, but that lifetime I had so much fear of being a woman.
Mm.
And that was extracted from me. And then that was 2 years ago. And next thing I know, I'm like flowing with life, with the goddess, with the Devi in India, doing all these amazing things and just being able to hold a frequency that helps a lot of other women.
Yeah. Well, so much happened so acceleratedly that, compounding the timeline just was like one
It's
thing.
so accelerate. I haven't had a moment. Every time I calibrate, they
Yeah.
come in, the guides, and they shift
Mhm.
my timeline
Mm.
and they shift, like it's almost like I keep shifting.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's so good to go into this because, I mean, I think my wife and I live in a way that it's like you live on this plane, you live in a timeline, we raising these kids, while at the same time understanding that this is not a linear process,
Not at all.
and that if we really go into that, we can look at these like event horizons that are available all the time to go in and do things or be a way that's like expansive and so good to go into. And I was going to say that so clear, when you were going through the husband said, "Oh yeah, this play you got the job offer. It's only 10 minutes there," and then you were offered an out. It's like that. That is the quote that I love quoting from Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, where
That's
the
right.
universe conspires in your favor when you are in pursuit of your personal legend. But the great thing is, you didn't even know specifically what your legend was, what your destiny was. You were just getting unshackled from and
Yeah.
freeing into your reality, and you were just following in the beckonings.
What was happening is, I think for me,
Mhm.
I knew that there was something more that I had to do, but I wasn't attached to it.
Yeah.
But what it was this total, like, a feeling of like, I'm just gonna let things happen.
Yeah.
And realizing very quickly the attachment, because I used to have a lot of attachment to everything,
Mhm.
control, and once I let go of the attachment to the journey and just understood that my soul actually signed up for the journey to experience the journey.
Mhm.
And I kept having to anchor myself by saying, I'm in the right place at the
Mhm.
right time, even though it was really uncomfortable,
Yeah.
even when it got messy. When you really understand that that is the whole point of it,
Yeah.
that you have your soul actually needs to have this embodied experience. That's what it that's part of this.
Yeah.
You keep anchoring it by saying, I'm in the right place at the right time and the universe has my back. It gets you through it.
Yeah.
It gets you through it. It's not easy, but it gets you through it. And just even recently, I had this beautiful meditation where Kali Ma came in and she gave me this word, and it's Saranagati. And I have no idea what that means or meant. And I
Mhm.
just was like, how do I spell it? I typed it in and in Google, and it was like, oh, that's a Sanskrit word for surrender.
Mm.
And that's what it is. It's when we actually understand that are not in control of anything,
Mhm.
and that every experience that we have, everything that we own, every experience that we have is actually doesn't belong to us. It belongs to this higher source. And when we actually understand that, life just
Mhm.
takes off and shifts for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good, helpful mooring to those to or, the helpful anchor of, like, bringing safety to your soul, to your body as well along the way. Because I could say, like, shouldn't we all or we could all hope to be in a messy experience that because it's going to be messy if you disrupt and if you disrupt from something that perhaps isn't what you're destined to have, it's going to feel unsettling, or it's going to feel uncomfortable because I could only say that you mentioned this, that the way you feel now versus what you felt before was the contrast to where you knew, wow, I didn't realize I was anxious and had
Yeah.
this. But it's like you can only some people will be listening and will say like, oh yeah, how do I tackle or dive in? Because some people won't know until they go through that to get to the other side, that when they feel that freedom, they're going to know what was holding them back. So
Yeah.
then for some who have been nervous about that, you can, I could you share that again? I think it was so good. Just that simple phrase that you
Yeah.
uttered.
You don't realize you're in fight flight, right? Because
Yeah.
that's your norm
Yeah.
until you start to become still
Hmm.
and stop running away from yourself. But you really have to know that. And how do you know that? It's number one, awareness. And so it happens in the mind first. Like, what is happening to me? What is really going on?
Hmm.
But then, so much of us as we start this journey live in our head. We're living up here, and we have to open the pathways to the body. And then understand that experiences and the narratives that we hold in our mind are actually the ones that we can't trust, because they are narratives and stories that our amygdala is making
Hmm.
to have the protective ego, the protective personality, stop us from feeling discomfort or hurt. But we have to, in order to understand what's happening with us in accuracy, is we have to go into our body. So we have to learn to breathe.
Hmm.
We have to learn to breathe. And when we start breathing, we can start noticing. We have to pay attention to the aches and pains in our body, because our body stores it. It stores the emotions that are not healthy for us. It stores the traumas in the joints, in the muscles, in the spine, especially in the spine. And we have to understand that when our body is signaling, when that gut is clenched, something's off. When you're feeling like disturbances in your digestive system, it's actually maybe a solar plexus activation going, you're giving away your power. But you have to just have that awareness first, and that intention to stop and breathe, even for a second. Awareness is where it starts.
Yeah, that's good. So poignant and um, hmm,
So if you were to ask a listener who is right, what can they first do? Is breathe.
mhm,
And it's belly breathe, and it's allowing that breath to get into the belly and then releasing it, and then doing a box breathing. 4, 4, 4, 4. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. So just imagine going around the box with that breath, and even a humming breath, right? Just humming, and also tapping right here
mhm.
can
Yeah,
start to bring you back to your body. And there's some great, you just have to Google and exercises for breath work. And you don't need a whole somatic exercise. You don't need,
right.
a course or anything like that. Just even simple breathing. And what I've been noticing ever since I've been really deep diving into the Devi and into the Indian, because the Indian lineage is really strong for me. Mantras, even a simple mantra, soham, om, just something simple, can the vibration of it can actually affect your field. So now when I say my mantras, I can feel the field clean and expand.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And the part that speaks, oh yeah, look, this is my drink. Have
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a kombucha, but it's this pattern that I love on the glass. But I as we share this heritage, I mean I was born in Illinois, hours south of Chicago. Were you born in Philadelphia or India?
No, I was actually
Oh,
born in
where?
Africa.
Oh, you were born in Africa. Where
In
in?
Africa, in Uganda, in
Okay.
Kampala. And
Okay.
then at the age of 3, apparently we just left in the middle of the night, and we went, and my mother and I went to England to join my father, who was
Mm,
studying for his medical specialty in pediatric. And that's one of the things I had to clear.
mhm,
That quick, like, so I was in a family, and I was being loved by grandmother, grandfather, uncles, and suddenly I was on my own with my mom and my dad. And as a child, no explanation. So there was a deep seated fear.
mhm,
And I have moved many times. So my root didn't feel anchored, right? So you
mhm.
start to track all this in the field. But yeah, and Indian culture, I, my parents weren't very traditional at that point. So I actually was called a coconut by so many of my Indian friends, right?
Yeah, totally. Same here.
Right. And then
Yeah.
I hadn't been to India for 17 years, and a year and a half ago, I was called to India by the goddess. Next thing I know, I am like going to all these Shakti Shiva temples, the
Mhm.
feminine and the masculine, and she is walking with me and giving me messages and wisdom and how to help and the be this frequency. And it's amazing. Like there's so much about the Indian culture that I have not read and I don't know in the physical world, but I know it
Mhm.
inside here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting too because it's kind of the way that we can learn so much by the reading, but then when you energetically exist and feel and know, and there's so much that's there so that we can lay hold of. I I have a great respect. I grew up, my dad cardiologist, and they came. So that's why they came to Illinois. Was my dad did his medical training, and anyways, I we grew up. The goal was to assimilate. So, I'm not going to go on and on about that, but it was my dad was trying to fit in. So, how can we be less Indian?
Yeah.
So, the goal was don't speak Hindi or Gujarati in the household.
That's
So,
right.
I was a veritable coconut, and it wasn't until like college that I started to delve deep. Became I learned some, and my sister did like Indian dance, Kathak, but I got back into it, and I started to be like yearning for this culture that I had not really been shown, but also I didn't want because I was trying to fit in a
Yeah.
world that didn't really have a place for it, and at least in our small farming town. So it's been a beautiful thing to dive in, and I will just say that the floor of the mouth and all of the things that I have done over the last 8 years and teaching people how to free up their mouths and free up the whole bodies and all of this, I didn't learn it. I didn't study intraoral work. I didn't do any of that. I had a daughter with a tongue tie, so that was helpful to, you know, learn how to help her with body work. And then I created a system and now I teach that. But it was a year before she was born where I started getting these downloads, and I would move intuitively and
Yeah.
move for hours a day before anybody woke up. And when my wife woke up, and I would be embodied by this synergy of sound, expression, journaling and whatever it was. And I started to do these movements with the back of my tongue and the floor of my mouth. And before I knew it, I was doing a headstand. I could do the moonwalk better than ever because my neck strength and my ankle strength improved dramatically, which I didn't even know why. But later I found out, well, it's because of my tongue tie. And I did these things that freed up so much, and it's very much akin to the Kachari Mudra, which I didn't even know it existed at that point of that
It's amazing.
ancient mystical yogic practice. And so I love that even though I didn't know, I was given another chance to delve deep into the heritage that I have
Yeah.
because this was there and it
Yeah.
has been there for so long. And the West is catching on to some things, but I think it's beautiful to lose. I found great freedom in losing myself to this temporal existence to go into this place where there is no, in a sense, time and limit and boundary and parameter. But it took a long time to go back to what you were saying. It took a long time of telling my body, writing this, practicing this,
Yeah.
you're safe, you're okay, going through emotional healing, going through all kinds of practices and things to wade through those waters of fear and darkness to say, I can do this and feel good about it
Yeah.
versus being unsettled and concerned about, am I going to be okay with even exploring some of this? So, yeah.
That's so beautiful, so amazing. I love
Mm,
that. Um, I feel it's really important for your listeners. Like, movement is so huge. And I'm not talking about regular movement, but non-linear movement.
mhm,
That's one thing I can share is
mhm,
waking up, doing some kind of breath work practice. I do the breath of fire in the morning to clear my field and then also to feed it. And I'm talking about my energy field. But
mhm,
then I move for 20 minutes. And when I say move, it can be me on my back on the floor, moving, or on all fours doing cat cow, but moving in a non-linear way and releasing energy through my breath,
mhm,
just letting it all out, sometimes I'm like tribal dancing or jumping like the Maasai.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what my body needs or wants. And when we start to do that, we're actually sort of coming back into our body.
Hmm. Yeah.
But even today, I was trying to share with a client that the heart is the portal to ourselves, right? The heart is where we go in, and this fear, this not feeling confident, anger, greed, jealousy, scarcity, all of those things, lust, all of those things are aspects that we just have to look at in ourselves and give them so much love. It's not about saying we're not those things. It's actually about saying we have this in us, right? It literally is like going down into a dark basement. And in the middle of the room, you can see the things, there's a dim light. But in the corners, everything's really kind of shadowy and you don't know what it is. And you're scared to go in the corner because you don't know what's there. And you have to go into those corners and you have to look at your fear and you have to go, hey, I love you. I love you so much. It's okay. It's okay to have that fear because once you claim it, it has no power over you. And we can do that by so many ways, but love, gratitude, accountability, compassion, all for ourselves first and foremost, will be the pathway to help you.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good. Good wisdom. Um, you spoke to something, and it just escaped me for a moment, but I thank you for that explanation too of the movement. Oh, I love that. Um, I think it's so important to explain this because um, I used to teach an intuitive movement practice all over, like Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, and a bunch
Wow,
of places. And
amazing.
but and I feel really like that compelling provocation to say that, when people can lay a hold of that key, it is so unlocking, unleashing. So, first, I want to ask you about you, and then I'll explain some of what I've seen with it. But when, so this is jumping to kind of when somebody does, when you mention this person you're working with, and do you do mostly virtual or also in person? What is the nature?
Well, actually, all virtual,
Yeah.
which is so interesting. That's how I was trained.
Uh
And
huh.
then I've done in person as well. But the way that with well, time is not linear.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as a shamanic practitioner and with all the training that I've had, shamans, my lineage is the Quiero lineage from the Andean mountains. We're taught that we can step out of time
Yeah.
through space and I can work with the energy field no matter
Yeah.
where I am, what I
Totally.
am,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
And then I wanted to say something too, because going back to when we were younger and the things that happened and all
Hmm.
the intuitive nudges that you had, what I feel now is that so many times I was guided by my future self that came in
Hmm.
to bring me to this point. And I don't know if you have that same feeling, but there's this guidance that came in, and it's not just from our team and our guides, our devis or angels or ascended masters, but it literally can be our own future selves who are coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to give you a little nudge. I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you to go that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it feels. Yeah. I think there's an there's an endless array of possibilities with what happens. I talk about time travel a lot with my kids, but not even that you're talking about. But yeah, having these moments where I've done this as a practice now, or for the last 10 years at least, where I go back to myself in moments and I say, way to go, this is good. Or and then I say, there's a lot of times when I was frustrated that I couldn't change the past.
Yeah.
I would try going back 2 moments and change them. And then I also say, that was good frustration to help me be okay with that and to look forward to moments in the future where I'd say, "That happened, and now with that, I know, and I
Mhm.
can guide myself now and in the future in a way that I didn't then." And so I love that option to not be limited by time because I do believe that that is
It's yeah.
the truth.
For some of my clients, I also do the Akashic Records healing as well. But a lot of times when it comes to time, and I'm guided to tell you this, that you can
Uh-huh.
go back to the past, but not to change the past
Mhm.
or the event, but go up, you go up to eagle view
Mhm.
and you take you in that moment to just before the event happened.
Yeah.
And you talk to that aspect of you and you change or talk about how they may want to change the reaction to the event.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then you come down to the event and see what happens. I'll leave it at
Yeah.
that.
No, that's good. That's really good. It reminds me yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah. It's not changing.
Yes.
This is never about changing anything external. This is what
Right.
we all have to realize.
Yeah.
Um, when clients come to me and they want to work with me, it's so and so happened, this happened, and so did this to me, and this happened, and this person did this, and this, and this, and this. And it is never about the external.
Mhm.
It is always about what is that you have to look at yourself internally from that situation, that event, or that person.
Yeah.
And the way that I explain it is that imagine you're sitting there in the center of a room. And when you open your eyes and look around, there are like infinite mirrors around you, right? There's all these mirrors around you. That is each interaction, each person, each situation, each place that you've lived in. And they are literally even the meanest bully ever, right? And I don't mean to minimize people's experiences, but there is a place where we chose this and that person or event happened because it's a mirror reflecting to us something about ourselves that we have to look at. And when you actually understand that and go within yourself and say, "Oh, I found just in very simple terms, I found Neil, you were judging Neil's such a judgy guy, right? He was judging me. But in actuality, there's an aspect of myself that I judge myself.
Mhm.
And then it's tracking where and why I judge myself and what is it related to, what core wound, and clearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really, mm, yeah, robust thing. So I think that this virtual when people meet with you, um, you're braiding together so much that composes them, that comprises them. It's I because you've touched on so many things, not just mindset, not just transformation, not just breath work and movement, intuition, uh,
Exactly.
so much. And I know that it's a journey and that path that you've been on, and also now that you're ushering others along with, and um, I have a great value for that. So to not leave it, even though I want to move to other things, when I grew up in dance, but not at all being happy with myself, I was so insecure. I did not like myself. I was so against myself. But I found freedom in movement. I would emulate Michael Jackson. I would emulate fluid dancers, liquid dancers, and then in undergrad, I lost myself in the all those experiences with ecstasy and all the rave lifestyle. But then I would become the music, so people would say, because I got into liquiding, which is a postural gestural movement in the like 90s where you became like water. It was like flexing,
Okay.
breakdancing,
Not heard of that.
yeah.
Amazing.
And well, if the way I say it is, if you ever watch Footloose, the
Yeah.
original,
Yeah.
and um, it's the third guy that's the guy I'm talking about. The two main, Kevin Bacon and his friend, and they're dancing, but then there's that guy in the white suit that moves like liquid, where his body is
Okay. I know.
but
Yeah.
that was who I was. I had 3 mentors, I studied under them, and they were, like, renowned movers in the raves circle,
Mhm.
so I kind of was, being mentored by them in movement, but anyways, all of that were, like, the ingredients for when I kind of had this year of spontaneous movement patterns is what I used to call it before my
Yeah.
daughter was born, and I would let the light, the water, the leaf that fell, or a thought that showed up, or an emotion to guide my body into movements until I would for the sake of saying this, I would forget what my body was doing, and I would allow it to do that until 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes or more later, I was in ecstasis, that state of being where you are beside yourself and you're lost and found all in the same moment, but it isn't just that. I say to people, it's like if you feel this nudge to have your finger go up, let it. If you feel this nudge to have your knee move, or your hands wave like the wind, just
Just do it.
honor that.
Just do
Be
it. Yeah.
integrous to that, and before
Exactly.
you know it, you are found in a way that you weren't. And so until if somebody tries this, you might think, "Oh, it's just so simple," or but it's a really beautiful practice. And I think that was just a snippet of my movement practice, because I think it's important, because when I say dance or even interpretive movement, some people might think, "Oh, it's like this thing that you do." I'm like, it's not.
No,
It is
you allow your body to move the way it wants to, the
exactly.
way and it's funny that you say that because I walk every day. And
Hmm.
when I walk, there are times when I just start to do this with my hands and just
Yeah.
allow. But what you're describing is you just become,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like when they say, you meditate and you look at the flame of the candle, and at some point you
Hmm.
become the flame.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah.
you're saying. And it's so easy. Um, it's actually a lesson in surrender,
Hmm. Yes.
right? When you allow your body to move, it's the light, the universe, whatever, teaching you how to let go. And so if you wake up in the morning, all your listeners, if one person does this, and
Yeah.
it's amazing that that one person, will do this. It's
Yeah.
just put on some music, no words, just music that you like, and just see where your body wants to take you and let it move through you. It's amazing how you'll feel afterwards. Like your
Mhm.
energy will feel so different. And what you call in for the day in that moment of being, when you're not in fight flight, when you're in this moment of being, and then you ask or manifest for something, that's a really very powerful experience
Mhm. Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
can't manifest from dysregulation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what's the remind me, please, or remind us, please, what's the Sanskrit word for surrender? You said it earlier.
Saranagati.
Sananagati.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
it tattooed on my hand.
Ah,
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but right here.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
I like that as also the anchor for this little activity, the activation that you just provoked in us. And yeah, I think you when you carry such wisdom and you carry such the potency of transformation and of having come through something, I don't think anybody comes to do what you do without having that. It's so hard to
You
say.
you probably have the same thing happen where you go through it all,
Mhm,
and then the clients who come to you are the ones that need you because they're going through the same thing.
mhm,
So now what I'm finding is that when I have clients come to me, the goddess makes me go through something, experience something. I quickly clear it in my field.
mm, mhm,
And next thing I know, it's because I needed to know how to do that and experience it so that I can help this client who's just come to me.
mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think there's something I wanted to ask you about too, because I feel, um, as I follow this through line of seeing the future and reverse engineering it, and I'm on this arc where I'm doing that. Um, I look back at some of the people that I've guided and some of the ones that have stood out to me the most, and some of the people have been the ones who they maybe the biggest thing they took from what we did was that they learned a key on how to not be burdened or plagued or constricted by what they felt, and I'm talking about the empathic realm, right? So
Yeah.
they felt so much and then they couldn't deal with it, and I said,
Yeah.
so one of my greatest joys is to help people operate in this place of, the energetic
Oh,
expansion, but not having to carry the
so
burden ongoing to be able to
what?
clear it. And so
Yeah.
I know this is a big part of what you do and carry. So I want to hear you share on that.
Well, the funny thing is that your guides popped in right now,
Ah,
and they're like, Neil is teaching everyone to be able to be in this world,
mm-hmm,
but not of it,
mm,
right? But you're
mm-hmm,
very good with your music linguistics movements that naturally help people understand that they can feel safely, but you're helping them put down and I don't like the word boundary, but a filter.
mm-hmm,
You help them process data so they're not taking on other people's energy.
mm-hmm,
That's what I heard.
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how
That's
you do
great.
it. Yeah, that's what you do. And you do it through your frequency because you've learned how to digest, compost
Mm-hmm.
what comes at you so that you don't carry it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I resonate, pardon the pun, with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much. So much.
So I've had to learn to do that too for myself before I
Mm-hmm,
could, because when you're an empath, and everyone is, right? Don't get me wrong, everyone is an
mm-hmm,
empath, but we have empaths who um, feel so deeply that they're so closed off to feeling
mm-hmm.
until they're cracked open.
Yeah.
And then you have empaths that are so open that they're just sponges that take everything on and they don't know what is theirs and they struggle with life because they're exhausted. They're just taking everything. So everyone's different, but as an empath who once you realize that that actually is not a weakness and that is a power, right?
Mm-hmm,
Um and you understand what it means to be in your sovereignty, which is a neutrality, and you understand that, you become very, very good at understanding what is yours and what's not. And you automatically start to filter the things that don't belong to you, and you learn how to compost them, like I said, or dance them away, like
mm-hmm,
you, or something, right?
mm-hmm.
So that you don't take them on. And you don't give it back to the other person,
Right.
right? Because that's not the point. You take everything and you just transmute it with love and light and let the universe deal with it. That's how you step out of karma as well.
Mm. Yeah. Well, good. You jumped ahead. I was going to say, what is the wisdom you can share to those out there who maybe they know or they don't know, and they're looking and seeking, ways to help them, because they know that at the end of the day, they're being given something that's a gift, or uh, it's being awakened in them, and they want to be able to maybe not just help others for the sake of doing something, but they want to feel freed up to, you know, transmute and to then bring light to others. So you kind of jumped ahead and you answered it before I asked you. So that was really, really poignant. Thank you.
So, first of all, before we help others, we have to understand why we want to help.
Yeah.
Are we truly in service or are we helping from a place of an imprint where we are helping because it makes us look good or feel good about ourselves, that means that you still have healing to do on yourself. So whenever I have clients who are like, I have so much, I want to help people so much, that's when
Hmm.
I know that, okay, let's track and see where that intention is coming from,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
First of all, when you step into service, it's not even like, I want to help. It's just, I am here.
Yeah.
Okay. To go into, it's more about remembering who you are in your soul journey, right? Because everyone's so big on like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? But some of us, our purpose is just to be. And in that being, we raise the frequency around us that actually activates and helps and transmutes so much for the people around us
Hmm.
and our communities. And some of us do have more to do when it comes to our purpose. And some of us just have to, you know, be and let go of it. But in order to step into that, it is the shadow work. It is going in within oneself and understanding what is motivating us in every aspect of our life, in every thought, and being totally in neutrality, not about that something is good, bad, light, dark. You know, when something good happens, to acknowledge it, thank it, but know that it's an illusion and just to be neutral with it. Same thing when something bad happens, understand that it's not happening to you, but it's happening for you. Same thing with something really good. It's happening not to you, it's happening for you to learn something from it. And I know that sounds hard, but it's all about staying in this neutral zone.
Oh. And you have this way though of saying that, and I believe it. Yet at the same time, what I love is that you have such strong, deep love and passion, and
Yes.
so it's very much could seem paradoxical to how do you stay neutral while carrying all of this?
So it's getting off the drama triangle, right? So everyone knows about the drama triangle. It's a triangle. Each point represents one thing: rescuer, victim, aggressor. And you play a role, you play each role in your lifetime. You can slide from victim mindset to rescuer mindset to aggressor mindset. And this whole thing is about understanding where you are in the triangle and stepping off of it. I have an infinite amount of love. I didn't realize this. I have so much love to give. And when I first started it, I was giving it, but I was giving it from a victim mindset. I was giving it, love me, love. If I love you, you'll love me.
Mhm.
But then, oh, you hurt me, right? I'm a victim. But actually, being neutral and having love, which is all this is love alchemizes, transmutes everything. That's what it is. Divine unconditional love. But Kalima's coming in. She's saying, tell them it this way. Just like a mother will say to her child, drink your milk because it's good for you. It's good for your bones. It's also the same thing or energy when you say, don't eat that mud, child, as you're playing in it. Don't eat the mud because you're going to get tapeworms from it, right? And you say, drink your milk with love, but you might say, don't eat that mud from a place of, you know, irritation or.
Mhm.
But it's the same thing as holding love in neutrality is holding love, but not rescuing people, not stepping into their journey. And when we do that, we're enabling them to stay where they are. We're stopping their growth. So, literally, being love is being love, but not doing anything, non doing, non judgment, non-attachment, non-expectation, non-everything. You just are love. It's how you can, people think that if you're talking about detachment or not attachment, there's an absence of love. Actually, there's so much more love, because you're loving and you're loving from this neutral place of I hold space for you so that your soul can grow and expand. And I trust you enough so that you can fall and pick yourself up. And I'm just shining love at you because you can do this. I don't know. That's how.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it carries those notes of, like, the unconditional that you said, and also the unchanging, like, the unswerving, unchanging, constant, abounding, that won't wane or go away. It's the love that's ever present and that is always there. So that I believe it. I can see what you're saying with how you talk about neutrality, that it comes from that place, which
Yeah.
is not an absence, it's rather a presence.
It's a presence. It's a presence. Just like Mother Earth, Ma, Pachamama. She flows unconditional love to every being on this planet, right? She supports us. She supports all the animals, the plants, the rock, everything. She flows air, water, sustenance to us. But she also has those times where we have natural disasters and things like that. But there's still love. There's just her presence. That's all I like. That's it.
Yeah.
So if the end of this for me is be love. You don't do love. Love is not transactional. Just be love. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
I would love to catch a two-part question here that I love asking people, but I try to feel out what is the actual, well, I try to think of what the answer might be, but not really on an intellectual basis. But um, as part of my, inspiration for this podcast was not only how to bring people from compromise to alchemized, which is from, lead to gold. It's a
Yeah,
non-linear
yeah,
mystical magical journey, and I think you've spoken to so much of that, how to help people. It's not one thing or another, and it's not even things, it's being. Um but I think of the question, and actually Paulo Coelho came up with this concept of personal legend, right? And I was listening to an interview that he did on being with Krista Tippett, who I love that podcast. And she asks him, what is personal legend? And, well, he answers it in a lot of words, but he just says, what is your dream? What do you desire? What do you love? And so I've asked it in many other ways, but his words are better than mine because he's the one that came up with it. And then I have an add-on question where I ask people, there is the dream, and then there also is a legend, like a legend on a map, where on the map you have this key where it shows you like a distance, like an inch, and that actually translates to 10 miles. Or you see trees, and it just what's on the map and how to navigate the map. So part two is that question, but in the first place, um what is your personal legend, if you could speak to that, something that's carried you through, that's been a deep, fulfillment of yours, or that continues to be?
I don't know how to answer that, Neil. All I know is that I knew that there was always something more out there.
Mhm,
But when I now know what more is the divine,
mhm. Yeah.
is that's it. But before I thought more meant something else,
Mhm,
that I had to do more, that I was meant for more.
mhm,
But in actuality, what I know now is that everything is the divine. Everything
mhm,
is God, and you are God. and God is you.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
the only thing I can say to that.
Yeah.
And when you talk about a map, it's so funny because my middle initial is A, so I'm map. And
Ah.
I think so. Mona Ashwin Patel is my name, and I always think of myself as a map for others.
Mhm.
And the map is, and when I first started this journey, I kept hearing like, you have the key. You just have to find your key. And the key is you understanding what, understanding that you are the divine, that everything that you want, desire, everything is within yourself.
Mhm.
That it's not outside. We think that the cosmos is outside, but it's actually the cosmos is within us. And that we're all about, oh, we've got to ascend and it's this journey and all of this. And what actually we are doing is we are descending into us and anchoring it here.
Mhm.
And that's the map.
Yeah, I love it. As said by the map. So it's totally right. Yeah.
And yeah, and I have to tell you this. Something came to me earlier this morning when I was walking. Was, everyone's talking about 2025 being the year of shedding because of the numerology, and next year is the year of new beginnings. It's 2026 and the year of the horse. But what I will add to that, it is the year of embodiment.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's, if you just remember that, it is coming back, trusting your body. Your body is your temple. And understanding that, then you're golden. Then you're gonna have a,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it's a good message here as we can tune in. And there's so many practices I think that you've even shared that we've talked about that great ways for people to even dabble in that. And then of course we're gonna have all the show notes, links and everything. But what would you say is how can people? Oh, you know what? I'm going to mention. There's the 12-month. You have like a year
Oh, so
journey. Can
yeah.
you talk about what you do? Yeah.
Yeah, so what I found is that as I started to do healing sessions or shamanic sessions, that I realized that 1 month, one session is not enough. Then I started to do 5 sessions, at a time.
Hmm.
Even
Yeah.
that wasn't enough, but it wasn't me thinking that it's not enough. My clients kept asking for more. And then I realized, so I have a 12-month program where we do heavy clearing of energies and intrusive energies and entities that are on your field.
Hmm.
Once we've cleared that, we start to repair the field. And then we go into removing imprints. And once we have done that, your field becomes clear enough to call in your soul fragments. So then we start to do soul retrievals. But that takes time. We're working
Hmm.
with mindset, we're working with the energy field, and they
Yeah.
have to sync up. Because if your energy field is like glowing and growing, but your mind and your body don't, there's a disconnect and you have like, fatigue and all that stuff. So that's why the 12-month program.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, I was guided to, I'm going to be releasing in March a spiritual awakening program, and, the divine feminine leading it. I'm also doing free webinars too. The first one released in January will be abundance,
Hmm.
but it's about abundance. We're all like, abundance is like such a, it's all trendy word,
Right.
like testing
Right.
and abundance,
Yeah.
but actually it's getting your field to receive. It's preparing
Yeah.
your field to receive, because abundance is there for everyone. It's just naturally there,
Right.
right? It's that it's eluding you, not because it isn't there. It's not because you have to call it in. You actually have to be able to receive it. And you receive it by, like you said, alchemizing. You alchemize your
Hmm.
fear, you alchemize your anger, you alchemize your judgment, you alchemize your jealousy, you alchemize your scarcity. That's how you receive when you
Hmm.
start to alchemize this stuff out of your field.
Hmm. And are you also leading a trip to Sri Lanka?
Oh, yeah. So I did, that will be in September. I'm still
Okay.
working on it and getting my guidance, but it's actually embodying your inner senses.
Hmm.
So each part of that retreat is going to be being in touch with your senses, uh, to like
Yeah, I think it's called In Your Senses, right?
in your senses.
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because that I did a retreat in India this year, awakening your inner goddess. So opening up, you know, to yourself, to your inner wisdom, to your inner goddess. And yeah,
yeah, yeah. And is there anything else um, a- as we kind of find our way towards the end of this topic that we could share more and you could keep sharing about? But is there anything else you want to leave us with, leave listeners with?
it's very simple. Even if you don't believe me right now, it really is about love, and it's loving yourself. And it is that journey to self love that brings such richness
Hmm.
to your wisdom. And believe me, I'm 56 years old, and maybe for the last year and a half, 2 years, I finally see myself, and I love myself so much, right? It took so long for me, but I did it.
Mm.
And same thing for everyone. It is really about this journey is going inwards, and it's don't rush the journey, but it is a journey to self love. And when
Hmm.
you can finally look at yourself and go, God, I love myself.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I remember very specifically the carpet that I was on, the city that I was in, and the month it was when I said out loud to myself this phrase of I love myself. Like I and there are more to come. There have been more and there are more to come, but that I can remember the first time I said it, and I'm 45, and this was um when I was 30. So meaning, some people might think, "Oh, I love myself," but I'm like, "Do you? Have you felt it so much
You
that
embodied it.
that it shocked you
Yeah.
that when you said it, you realize, oh, I haven't known that until right now
Yeah.
in that moment." So I just wanted you to know that I shared that because I can from someone who spent so long not feeling that,
Yes.
and then I felt it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
right.
Because exactly. It's like, I've experienced not feeling worthy, not feeling deserving, uh, not feeling lovable, right? All of those things. I have grown with that. I have gone through all my relationships with that. And to a point where when you do all this shadow work and this inner work, and you get to a point where you just suddenly know and you feel it in your body, that's hugely different to thinking, oh, I like myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
When you actually feel it land,
mhm,
it's a whole different feeling.
yeah,
And it is really, to everyone, it is really simple. It is a journey of love.
yeah.
That's, yeah.
Well, it's been a wonderful journey to speak with you. I know I already shared your info with somebody, and I know to direct them towards you for your guidance. And I think it's really great that you're being a map for others, and that
Thank you.
conversations like this I really appreciate, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm so thankful you took the time and that we could delve into this because it's such a valuable world to open up.
Thank you so much. Just having this conversation is just such a beautiful live transmission. of the universe. And I love your energy, Neil. Like,
Mm.
considering we haven't met before, it was such a fun time to spend with you. So thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome, and I appreciate you. And feels like we have, it, like you said, it's like, oh, there's a knowing, there's enough to go in, because with great intention, we don't just want to have any conversation. You want to really have something that has substance. And I know so much from what you've shared has been a substance that I think will give a lot of people tangible keys, as well as just, an inexplicable energy that will suffuse and permeate their beings as they
That
listen.
little spark to start the alchemy from lead
Yeah,
to gold, right? The
there
fire.
you go. That's right. Well, thanks, Mona. I really appreciate you. And yeah, for those listening, just share this. At least one person needs to hear this, or that you would love for them to hear this. And please comment and tell us what you think. And obviously, if you don't know Mona, follow her work. Oh, how do they find you? Healing Light Alchemy, I know, is one way if they type that in. And
Yeah.
how can they find you and follow you?
Facebook, Instagram. Facebook, Dr. Mona Patel. Instagram is Healing Light Alchemy. Website is www.healinglightalchemy.com. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mona. Well, you have an amazing day, and thanks again. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Neil.
This is major. It's a game changer.
Thank you for listening to the Compromised to Alchemized podcast. Really excited to thank Jessica from Lunalux for the music, this track called Major. I want to thank Toshi, who originally did the design work for my cover art. And I also want to thank Alyssa, my team, for podcast publishing, my whole team, including Kat, for heading up my world. And then also definitely want you all to follow me on YouTube, follow the podcast on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcast. Comment, give us a rating, and also follow me on Instagram at Dr. Neil Bichandani so you can stay tuned to my latest. Thanks so much, and you have an amazing day.